Is it going to be like a class or is it going to be the progressive?
We have time for one stretch, and one. So it's a class and workshop on how to strengthen the knees, prevent pain, lessen existing pain. So that's the overview of this class. We have time to go over one movement that should help with a lot of different things, but we'll go over all that.
And how long is the class?
It's at 9:30 to 10:30. I'm waiting on people to get back in.
All right, guys, we'll get started in 2 minutes. How's everyone doing in here? I'll have music playing, but it's hard to have a slideshow and music at the same time. All right, so raise of hands of who currently has knee pain.
So I don't know if this is the doctor from your not or one day I just woke up and all of a sudden I can't put pressure on anymore. Like I feel like that. It felt like when I touched it, it was like a bruise, but I have no bruise there.
Have you been to the doctor yet?
No.
Okay, so this could definitely help. So this is a workshop all about how to strengthen the existing knee issues, strengthen healthy knees, strengthen the knees that are going downhill, strengthen knees that have been told the only option is surgery, lessen the existing effects of arthritis, all of the above. So this is for anyone who feels like they have strong knees and is an athlete and wants to improve it. Anyone who's tweaked it, all of the above. Does that sound like it includes you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so this should help us improve the health of our knees. So when we get into this, we'll start in about 1 minute. How are your knees feeling?
Okay.
What's your name?
Kimberly.
Kimberly? I'm Brooke. What's your name? Brittany? Amy, Kimberly, Brittany,
Cynthia.
Cynthia. Nice to meet you guys. And your knees aren't feeling too good.
I have a lot of releases here.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So we'll go over a lot of things that would be helpful for that too.
There is surgery.
Okay, you've already gotten surgery. Okay. Okay. So before we get into injury, techniques, exercise techniques, I'm gonna set expectations early. Like this is not a workshop on selling a miracle exercise. This is not telling you how to push through pain. And this is not to tell you that surgery is not the answer. But this is about understanding why knee pain happens and why it sticks around and what we can actually do that works to heal and strengthen the knees. So we're going to go over a lot of things today. We're going to go over why knee pain is common, why surgery isn't always an option, where the answer, how the knee actually heals, the kinetic chain of the body, which is very, very important, and how the hips and ankles affect the knee pain. And mobility, we will go over that. We will answer your question. We'll go over some mobility techniques, how strength programming should be structured, and how you can start on that today. And we're going to go over that in class today, or you can just call it a workshop. So then we'll go over personalized options and then the next step for what to do with your specific individual issues with your needs. So I got NASM certified in 2021. I programmed fitness programs for 10 years. told I needed knee surgery at 15. I never got it. I do not have knees that have had surgery. Now I help people recover from knee pain, bounce back from being told they need surgery soon. We'll go over when it is really helpful to have surgery and why some people maybe shouldn't have surgery. But I do it through movement. So I am certified strength and recovery, certified, ACT certified, nutrition certified. I specialize in strength, recovery, basically going through movements where mobility, and I'll go over the fitness ladder soon that I created, mobility is definitely an answer to heal a lot of existing chronic joint pain. So we all know knee pain is common. That's why we're doing this workshop. I see people coming in here all the time who know how to work out, and their knees are still killing them. So we have 1 million, can everyone read this? It's not too long. Okay, great, awesome. 1 million emergency visits, over 1.9 million primary physician, outpatient meetings. This is not a joke. Like, this affects people's livelihoods, it affects people's happiness day to day. And that's why we're doing this workshop. That's what I love to help with. That's why I'm here. That's why I love my job. And if you guys haven't had the stretch and recovery sessions, the goal is to get you guys feeling healthier and happier and looser right off the table, rather than it being an ongoing process. You should feel better in the moment right after a session. So I had real pain. It wasn't just, when I was in high school, it wasn't just soreness. And I think some of you guys can relate to that. It started hurting really, really bad. The issue with when pain is coming on to the knees is doctors are trained in very specialized and specific things, but research is continuously updated. We're continuously finding new things. Over the past 40 decades, we have found that the joints are healed through movement, and we'll go into the details of that. But what they are trained to do is just find a solution in certain avenues and paths. So what they told me is your cartilage is gone, only option is surgery. At 15, because I was in sports. They're like, yeah, if you're in pain, it's your cartilage, it's getting worn down because of your sports. And a lot of people have been told that. So I was in so much pain, I was like, sign me up. Mom, let's go to surgery. Let's get that surgery. And she was like, no, you're too young. And they're like, yeah, but you have to wait until you're fully grown for that. So the options they gave me were keep playing your sports and just push through the pain, right? And that's not, unfortunately, just for kids to hear. That's what adults hear too. Just push past the pain. And if it gets too bad, we'll look into some option, maybe give you a cortisol shot, and then let's have surgery. Why is it that way? Because our bodies, the past 4 years, research has showed that there are many, many other options. And like I said, I never got surgery. What I ended up doing was pushing through the pain, and it would come and go in waves. But the worst part is I didn't know what else I could do to help it besides icing. Has anyone ever been told to ice? By the way? Yeah, okay. All nods. Yeah, so that's what I want to share with you today is what I learned at 22, ended up getting sciatic nerve pain that made it difficult to walk. My pain was on a scale of like 8, 9 out of 10. So I had to go to the doctor, figure out what's wrong. Sciatic nerve pain, I fixed it with the help of specialists, and then I started figuring out my knee pain is getting a little better now. What's going on? Why does it come in waves? And I researched on my own, and that actually led me to becoming an as a certified coach. So, most important thing I want you guys to take away today is pain does not automatically mean damage. It doesn't mean that there's damage in the joint. It doesn't mean that there's damage in your body. What it could mean is that basically overuse, and we'll go into what it could mean, but damage does not automatically mean that you need surgery.
I'm going to interject just a little bit.
Yes.
Unless you have medical diagnostic testing, like these MRIs, it clearly shows that you have a tear. And it is basically catching you, you can't straighten it out, you can't walk. But the biggest thing is that you have the diagnostics ready
Yes.
to say that there's true damage in there.
Yes, exactly.
That'll be totally.
Yeah, and we'll go over all of those different things. We'll go over that. For a long time, they thought that in the joints, especially knees, specifically knees, there were no regenerative cells. They thought and looked and they didn't find any. We have been thinking that for decades. That is not true anymore. They found that we definitely do have those cells in our knees, and this is good news. The reason why this is good news is that knee pain, because it's so common, and we thought that there was no regenerative and healing cells in those knees, we found differently. So, when someone breaks down the kinetic chain of the body, our whole body is connected, right? The knee really pays the price. So if you look at me up here, I have my head, I have my shoulders. Those are the joints. So you got your neck that starts at the top of your head, and it goes all the way down to the glutes. You have a kinetic chain, and we'll go over specifics, but the pain most likely does not start in the knee. It usually starts from a tight joint somewhere else. If you have a tear, that's a different story, we'll get into that. But if you have a tight knee, a tight hip, or a tight ankle, usually the knee isn't the most tight part. Sometimes I've even seen issues where someone has an ankle roll, and then it affects their shoulder because the whole body's connected. I've seen people with shoulder surgery, they get it worked on, they're tight afterwards, they're recovering, and then they have hernia on the other side. Because the body's always trying to balance itself out. The body's connected, so if I have a tight hip, and if it doesn't want to open wide, if my hip does not want to open, it's going to stay and keep that leg pushed in. So the rest of my appendage here is going to be swinging in when I walk and when I do exercises. And just watch this real quick. If my hip doesn't want to open and push my knee into a position that will keep it safe and keep the lubricants in my joint from having to move around too much, if I have a tight hip, my knees are not going to want to open. They will be pointed in. And look at my weight. Look at my weight. Where do you think it's going? All from the top of my head down to the ground. Where do you think it's going? It's going straight into my knee. So if you draw a line straight from my shoulder down, it doesn't end at the foot. It ends at the knee. When I go through movement trainings with people out here, this is why I love my job, because I can get someone squatting in 2 minutes and they haven't been able to squat before. They haven't been able to squat since they were kids. We're not born with kneecaps. We're born being able to squat. We're born being able to get in weird positions. But we're doing it. If you look at a kid, they're doing it in the correct positions. What happens when we grow up? What happens when we grow up? How are our movement patterns? Do they adapt to the situations that we are in? Or do we keep those healthy patterns? Usually, we are adapting to the chairs, we're adapting to the drive, the car, we're adapting to whatever circumstances we are in. They even have studies that show genetically we're not predispositioned to excess fat in certain areas, we're predispositioned to weakness in certain areas. And then our culture, whatever culture we grow up in, our family dynamics, our habits, those daily habits shape our physique, our eating, and our movement patterns. So those movement patterns, when we open up those hips, it fixes a lot of issues. That's why we'll get into different movement patterns and why it's so important to move, because like I said, we are not born with these pain areas unless it's a deformity. And that's a very, really, really, very important differentiation. Unless we're born without an appendage, we can do that's why I just want to give you guys hope today. That's why we're doing this workshop. So that you guys feel like this, the only answer is it doesn't have to be surgery. But surgery is definitely important. And some of you are in that boat right now. Some of you are pushing through pain, and some of you are scared of making it worse. And so I just want to prevent future problems, because what you've seen is that what knee pain does to people is it keeps us from moving, it keeps us scared of moving. My dad, he hurt his back, and that was when I was before I was 3. And he was a college athlete, he was a track star, he was on the road to get a college scholarship, and he broke his femur. And what happened was that pain, all throughout me growing up, I heard, oh, I can't do that, I have back pain. And what happened, what forced me to become a full-time fitness trainer, is he passed away. He just didn't wake up one day. Because year after year, he stopped moving this athletic body of his, and he just didn't wake up one day. That's why I became a full-time fitness trainer, is because I know that movement can heal. Pain, and he had surgeries, he had all these places of tightness. But not working out and stopping yourself from moving is not the answer. Your body will adapt.
How long ago are we talking? How many years ago?
So he passed away in 2021.
Because
He
nowadays,
was 58 years old.
because
but-
nowadays you have surgery, they want you out of the bed. So I'm saying
Yeah,
things,
that wasn't
things
the
have
case.
changed, things have changed and gotten better.
Well, that wasn't the case. It wasn't that he was better. It was that he chose not to work out because he just didn't want to hurt his back. He chose not to run because he didn't want to just treat his back at all. So it's a little different.
But
But
fear is real.
yeah, yeah. I never got knee surgery. I never did. But you know, our bodies and joints don't stop working unless there is a structural damage to it. So surgery fixes structure, movement fixes patterns. And that's what I want you guys to get out of this today. We're going to go over the correct movement that you need in order to feel a lot of relief in certain areas. And of course, I'm here, so I'll give you guys options because we don't have all the time in the world today. I'm going to help you guys as much as we have time to. If the movement pattern stays the same, the pain often returns. So if you do get surgery, a lot of times the pain returns because you're still pushing that joint in maybe a way that it's not meant to move. The knee heals through signals. So if we move it in a specific way, it's going to react and send fluid to that joint. I actually have looked through again because I love these studies. I love going through studies and figuring out. I love figuring out what they learn, and they continuously get better and better with these studies. I just love it, guys. I love it. So UCLA did a research study recently, and they found not only are there regenerative cells in the knees, but through movement, we can send fluid to the knee. What that does is it gives it lubricant. Who knows what fights off omega-4s, which causes inflammation? I'll give you a hint, it's an omega. Omega-3s, exactly. Exactly. So omega-3s are really great for getting rid of, fighting off omega-4s, which is inflammation found in the body. And I want you guys to write that down. So that's going to be your supplement on your PDF. Darn it. Okay, I have 2 pens. Let me get them for you. I have a Sharpie here.
Are those pins over here?
You what?
Pins over here.
Yeah, those are pens. And then here's another one. That one might have run out of ink. Yeah, so research out of UCLA has shown that ligaments like the ACL contain specialized cells with the potential to regenerate ligament issues. This is huge, guys. This is huge, and I've seen it firsthand. Also, International Society of Stem Cell Research showed that cartilage formation progenitor cells, the same type that build cartilage during development, can regenerate cartilage tissue when introduced to damaged knee joints. This is huge news, guys. That means that even if you're told you don't have any cartilage left in your joints, you don't have cartilage, you can reduce knee pain. From a 9, this is what research is showing, from a 9 or 10, and you can reduce it by 70%. This is huge. I see people in here all the time who can't do what they love to do. And their happiness in life is dwindling. Their day-to-day quality of life is going down. So cells don't just become tissue, they release growth factors. They reduce inflammation, and they signal the body's own repair symptoms and systems. So they improve the environment of the joint so that healing can occur. Like Mayo Clinic, so Mayo Clinic is actively running trials and clinical trials right now to understand how therapies can affect knee pain, arthritis, and fractures. So let's talk about fractures. Severe instability is what I would call fractures. Surgery can be life-saving for those issues when appropriate, and fractures are definitely where we see that. And just because we have the ability to improve the cartilage and literally not technically regrow, but basically shoot that joint-filling cell regenerative tissue back into the knee, it doesn't mean that surgery is not always necessary. But a lot and most of the time, it is not a structural issue. It's a movement issue. It's a movement pattern issue, which is why I love my job, because most people I can help in here. I've trained over 100 people. 50 or so in here who needed joint help. Only one I was not able to help because he had a really difficult, terrible tear. One out of all of those people. So that's great news, guys. I love it. So here's one of my clients, Cowboy. He came in here with a brace. He was hobbling around. He was in his, midlife. And he was in pain and he was unhappy. He loved skiing. He couldn't ski anymore. That was one of the things he loved to do. And he came in here and was like, hey, I just want to avoid surgery. Can you help me? I was like, you can try. I'm going to give you what I do. And basically within 6 months, he was skiing again. And unfortunately, he passed away in an ATV accident a year into our training. But his wife contacted me. She texted me on one of the days near his memorial, which I went to. And she said, thank you for giving him his quality of life back. He was so much healthier and happier before he passed away. And that's, I think, a great example of why I'm doing this, but also it was a little bit of like success back from feeling like I failed my father. Because we got this guy back on his feet again. We got this guy skiing again. We got him enjoying life again. And so it doesn't have to, we don't have to think that we're in here to prolong our lives. But what I would like you guys to keep in mind and think about is we may not be able to control our circumstances in life, but we can certainly increase our happiness day to day and the quality of our life. We do have power over that, which is the most important thing. And we can do our best to prolong life, but circumstances sometimes cut it short. But what can we do to improve our movement patterns, improve the health of our body so that we're happier no matter what comes? Also, I want you guys to keep this in mind. The more strength that your body has before unexpected circumstances, falls, and surgeries, you can improve recovery. I think the numbers, I don't know the exact, but it was over 80%. 80% build strength. Because when you fall, there are unexpected falls when you hit that age. Studies show that it's a very strange number, but there are falls because it affects our muscles. And there's a lot and growing number of hip breakage. And when we hit our hips and we fall on our hips, we don't have that strength to recover, then a lot of women actually die early because, and it's so strange, and I wish we could talk about this more in the medical field, but unfortunately it is male driven, right? And that is changing slowly, but a lot of women pass away early because lack of muscle, lack of strength, lack of healthy movement patterns to prevent the body's ability to heal correctly and quicker after surgery or after falls and injuries. So the kinetic chain, we've got the cervical spine, like we went over, the thoracic spine, lumbar spine, hip joints, knee joints, ankle joints. If one of those things are off, if one of those things are tight, if one of those things get injured, usually it will affect another joint. If you need shoulder surgery, if you hurt your hip, usually it will send tension to the other part of the body. I naturally lean to this side, like I'm doing now. This is my reaching leg. The reaching leg, each of you have one. So go ahead and stand up. And be careful with this. Find a partner. I'm going to do it. You actually come up. What I want you guys to do is just to slightly push each other. Let me show you. So turn around. Push. That would be a leg that you reach with. Go ahead and push me. So I tried to do that as natural as possible, but I caught myself with my left leg. Go ahead and give each other a little tiny shove. It's so weird because now we're trying. I know, I shouldn't have said anything. I should have let it happen.
Yeah.
All right, so that is a quick, fun little thing, and you guys can take your seats. We're going to get up again in a second, hopefully sooner rather than later. But that's a little trick I like to do with my clients as part of their movement screening if they're having any pain, because your reaching leg is usually the one where you might have more knee pain than not. It's usually also, not always, but sometimes it's the opposite side in which you write with or whatever you dominantly carry things with. That's an important distinction. Not always your right hand. If you're ambidextrous, this could change. But also, if you like to carry things on that side, that's going to be the side where you're holding it here, but you've got to support yourself with this other side. And your body's always trying to find homeostasis. Remember this, whatever stresses you put on your body will adapt to. That's why it's so hard to lose weight. That's not this workshop, I don't want to ramble on that. But if you lower your calories, if you insinuate your cardio, your body's going to get really good at doing cardio at that amount of calories. And your only place to go at that point is increase cardio, decrease calories. We don't want to get to that point. So what we do is work with the body, not against it. Your body will adapt to whatever stressors you allow. It's the same thing with body movement patterns. Your body will get tighter on one side. If you use it to stabilize yourself, you'll get stronger in different areas of movement than others. And that will cause tension in the kinetic chain. Like I said, if you're tight in one hip, you might not be opening up your knees correctly. So there's 5 in here. Okay. Let's go over proper foot placement. So when it comes to, oh yeah, let me go through this with you guys. So the areas to check for fixing the knees, we are going to check the glutes. Well, hips is number 1, but it doesn't matter. You just have to be here. So we're going to check the glutes, the hips, and then what else is the closest to your knee? Ankle. If someone rolls their ankle, all of a sudden they're having knee pain. They come to me. And I'm like, did you have this injury? Did you have that injury? Oh, you rolled your ankle. Oh, about this as a symptom, not the fix. So a symptom of tight hips or tight ankles. What happens if I have tight hips and my knees are coming in? What part of my foot is on the ground? Yes. So the inside of my foot is here and here, but that is not on the ground. So one thing that we can do is, even if we don't know exactly what the cause is, for you guys today, I have to get a closer look. But for you, without my help right now, you need to make sure that these areas of your foot are on the ground, because that will force your knees into a certain position. If I'm here and I force that onto the ground, what happens to my knees? I'm going to make it way more prominent so you guys can see. So if I'm here, I'm tight, I push my other side of the foot onto the ground, what happens? My knees are now pointed mostly toward my toes. That is the goal. That's the safest place for the knee to go. Now I'm a lot safer. So, most people don't need extensive cortisol shots, stem cell therapy. Most people just need blood flow. We need healthy movement patterns. Mobility first, then strength. Here's a fitness ladder. You will not find this any other place. This is something I developed. There is different variations of this fitness ladder. Here's mine. So when you have a ladder, you have two poles holding up the rings. The first poles are going to have specific needs. I like to say that one ring is sustainability. That's really important, because if we're coming in here and we're doing hard hip workouts with that incorrect form, what's going to happen? We're going to get tighter and tighter. We're coming in here and lifting. That's great. We're getting strength. Awesome. But what happens when you strengthen the muscle? We're getting micro rotators, which tightens up the muscle. We're not keeping that mobility. We're going to get tighter and tighter. So the first ring of the ladder is sustainability, because if you can't do it over a long period of time, it's not good for your body. The next step is safety. It needs to be safe, and that ties it all together. The other ring of the ladder is enjoyment. If you're coming in here and hating what you're doing, if you dread it, you're going to come back? No, it sucks. I love the community, the manager made here. That's why I came back and made a head coach and I worked with some really cool opportunity. Not the same people. It's way more fun here. We've got a great team. Dion was just in here doing something on his phone, I'm guessing, sending a video of me or something. Great community. Awesome people. You gotta find what you enjoy, and you gotta keep doing it. Are you gonna keep enjoying working out here if your knees hurt? And if you just keep getting more and more in pain, you're gonna say, this working out thing's not for me, and I'm just hurting myself. So, when it comes to the ladder, and we're not going to go through this whole thing through one time, but the first ring of the ladder is mobility. And that is why. I hope that makes sense. Because if we start with strength, what's going to happen? We're going to get tense, we're going to get tight, and it's not going to work. Because that first mobility needs to be there, and we need to keep that while we're growing in strength. So if it hurts, if pain is inflamed, if we're getting the information of pain, then it's not time to progress in that movement yet. So when I go through things, I just had a client last night, I was like, let's try Cossack squats. Her pain started hurting because I could see it was not in the right place. I was like, we'll try, but I can't hold your knee in that position. So we're going to go back to another pre-progression movement and strengthen that hip so your knee is not going back to that same place anymore. So this guy, I used to look at him, who knows knees over toes guy? This guy's everywhere. Yeah. So I'm never going to have you guys, your knee's in pain? Great. Here's a workout you can do. No. We're not knee level. Even when I was an athlete, I couldn't do that without knee pain. But I can do it now. After years of doing this, it's not pain, which is great. But this is not the start. Because you need mobility first. That's actually a strength movement. So that's important to know. So progress is when control improves. Control of the movement pattern, not when ego demands it. This might look cool. I thought it looked so cool. I was like, how do I get to that point? When we sometimes think that we should be progressing at a certain pace, that is ego. Even if you're not a big bulky dude coming in here and lifting, ego lifting, it doesn't matter. If your body is signaling pain, you are not ready for that movement. And you need to learn the correct form in order to protect your body from getting off of sustainability and safety, and then eventually get over it. So let's go over what we can start today. Get up, get your chair. Don't start yet. I'm going to show you something that, here's the thing, knees over toes guy. Let's talk about him real quick. So his whole thing, and something that is very important, is what I said earlier when we were squatting. The safest place for the knee to be, especially if you're having knee pain or you're concerned about it, or you just want to grow strength. The safest place is right over your foot. It needs to stay over your foot. I don't care what age you are, where you're at. That's the safest place for your knee to be when you're squatting. Do you want to be squatting like this all the time? Probably not. My heel's off the ground. That's the safest place for the knee to go. However, the knee should be able and is designed to have the flexibility when it is flexible, when it is mobile. Your ankle should be able to have flexibility here near the Achilles, and you should be able to get your knee past your toe. Let me show you the correct way to do this. The reason why this is so important is this is a little bit of stretch, a little bit of strength. And because it's both together, this is the number one thing I give to beginners to start with, to start to strengthen the muscle around the knee, but also straighten it and stretch it. Be very, very careful with this. And I am a foreign general, so I'm going to be looking around at you guys. I need you guys to start in front of your chair, hips parallel, keep your toes straight. Before you go up, if you feel uncomfortable putting your foot up without any assistance, put your hand on something, please. There's also counters. You can come over and have your hand on a counter. But when you put your foot up, your toes should be straight. Your foot should not be out here. It also shouldn't be in here. Your back foot should not be back here. Why? It shouldn't really be where this guy's is. Why? This is the best picture I could find. But his foot, his knee should be right here for a beginner. This is a little bit more advanced. For a beginner, what is this knee doing? It's stretched too. So we don't want to extenuate the back knee's issues while we're working on that front knee. So you're going to stand, hips parallel, back foot as close to this chair or area of elevation as you can be. Raise up, make it 90 degrees here. 90 degrees. Another area of contention, and you don't have to do this right quick since I'm still going over form. Your foot should be right in front of where your hip bone is. So your knee is extenuating, that foot's underneath the knee at 90 degrees. Did you see how that just pushed back my hip? So if I'm here, or here, it's forcing my hip to work. Kinetic chain, baby. So that knee's going to be over your heel. And when you go forward, you're just going to go as far forward as you can keep your heel on that chair. That is very important. Can someone tell me why that's important? Why is it important to keep your heel on the chair as you're going forward? Okay, anyone else? It's not a bad mess. squat, they're either tight here or their hips. So we gotta open up, make sure that knee is over your heel to start with. You're looking good, guys. And you just need to go forward as far as you can while keeping the heel down, because we're working on mobility. And part of mobility is correct movement. So I'm going to come around, and you're going to push your knee forward only towards your toes. Make sure it's not pointed in. The very point of your knee is pointed towards your toes. And is that as far forward as you can go? And then go back. Go back. Don't hold it in this position, guys. Always, I advocate always for dynamic stretches. That means constantly moving stretches. As far forward as you can go, I'm going to get a little closer to your back. You feel the tightness? And then move forward and back, guys. Forward and back. Just coming in a little bit. Yeah, watch the point of your knees, guys. Yeah, your hips coming in. You need to line up that hip. Not the foot. Don't change your foot position, guys. All right, so this is actually a great talking point here. Your hips are swinging this way, which is maybe happening during your squats. I'd love to see your squats. But because they're swinging this way, your knee's going to come in. It's just going to come in. So I need your hips. Can I move your hips? Yeah. I need your hips here, which means your toe just moves. So I need your toe straighter in the back. And here, so come straight forward. Keep your hips parallel. Ooh, they like to swing. Got to work on that. So while you're squatting, that's a really good note to have, because your hips are probably swinging to one side or the other, which means just 10 each side. So if you have already on a 10, switch the other leg. So pain does not automatically mean damage. And damage does not automatically mean surgery. And surgery fixes the structure, but movement fixes the patterns. And patterns of movement are what are going to cause or alleviate pain. Good. And you might feel a little bit of tightness when you do this. Okay.
So if your quads are weak, is that part of the reason why it wobbles?
So your quad is out of joint. And what actually forces the knee to move is ankle and hip movement, because the joints are what moves it.
But I mean, like, if I'm having trouble keeping it straight and it's just wobbling on its own, what does that do to it?
So here, and that is either balance or hips. So make sure that your feet, when you're doing this, and I would do this 10 times, so 10 repetitions a day, each leg. And do it. So this is working on mobility of the knee joint, and this is the safest way to work on that. We went over this, but movement in the joints has been shown to cause regenerative cells to actually repair the structure of the joint and heal not only cartilage. So guys, go ahead and sit down. We're going to go over your paper now. And like that, I can't even remember your replacement. That's really tough.
But I also row. So rowing is the key thing that keeps me moving. Rowing is my goal.
Okay.
So I thought sumos were better.
Sumos are just tougher on the hips.
But it helps, I don't try to do the other ones because I think, so my knees, they're both on bone, the right one especially.
Yeah. So you can, do you have any pain?
Right now, I'm okay with that injections, but, they have like, give me a long time, but like I was doing a jumping trampoline class the other day, and I thought that might be okay, and then I read online that it's
Yeah.
two different stories.
Yeah. So I would work on, so jumping is like advanced. Plyometrics I put up here. So I would work on strength first. You're doing a lot of cardio, you're doing movement, which is great. Seems like your mobility work on your movement patterns, and we can go over that. So these are the options for doing personalized one-on-ones. So, yeah, sure.
Is it about the quads, like you said, or the hips, or what exactly?
I know we came in here a little late, but let's go over this. So, it is the kinetic chain. So it's strengthening and adding mobility to the hips, the ankles, the whole body. It is strength around the knee, which is why I gave you guys that. So it's strength and mobility. That area of movement we were just doing, it does show if we have knee quads, but the area of movement here, if we're keeping our hips aligned, that's going to keep the knees straight. And then, so even, I was naturally doing this. That's why I get hurt jumping sometimes. I used to be a college athlete for high jump. And I was a jumper, and I was a sprinter. My knees hurt me a lot, because I naturally do this. It's not a bad thing, we all naturally do that, we all have a flare. But I have to make sure to be here. Because my knee's taking on all of that pressure. So what I do is, I do one-on-ones, but I'm also trying to figure out what's the most cost-effective way. So now I offer group joint-focused training on 7 to 8 Monday through Wednesday. It's all about, and you guys can take a picture of this if you're interested, but that's what we're offering you at One Life Perimeter here, because we found that a lot of people need mobility. And they're getting with coaches and people are great, but they're just working here without correct form. They don't have someone who's strength and recovery specialized or certified. So they're skipping steps. And I'm seeing a lot of things where people are being trained and they're hurting their knees. So this is not cardio, those classes are not cardio or weightlifting focused, it's joint nutrition. So supplements, we already went over omega-3s, and those supplements, so that's going to be fish oil. And it's possible to reduce arthritis in the knees. Research has shown that. The specialists I follow, the research studies, it's possible to reduce pain in the knees without cartilage. It's definitely possible. You can reduce it from, I believe the numbers now that I saw, I just researched them and just to make sure last night that I was up to date. You can, if you have 9 or 10, you can reduce it to 2 if you have no cartilage. And we saw that with Pat. I think you missed that, but one of my clients, he was able to ski again. He wasn't skiing, he was a surgery candidate. And he never got surgery, but he was skiing again. So then we want to treat our body with the utmost care to reduce the inflammation. The way to do that is to reduce processed foods. So you just want to have 17 out of 20 meals not processed. That means just doing your best to eat more raw foods. So I try to avoid Sour Patch Kids when I can, but those 17 out of 20 foods, 17 out of 20 meals, those last 3, you can be a little fun with it. It's about balance, guys. But you want to just reduce that body inflammation. So that's by doing that, you will have to cut out a little bit more processed foods, okay? And you need to definitely get more omega-3s because that fights the inflammation omegas, which are omega-4s. So you want to reduce your body's weight as well. If you were to run, even if you had great knees, you could break with a weighted vest. Or here's another tip. Treadmills over 3, incline 3, has been shown in studies to increase knee pain. Please avoid that.
See, I joined our school for 2 months and then I had a full hand showing that I was true that it does incline. Yeah.
So Orange Theory 2, I don't know what your goals are. If it's just cardiovascular health, it's great. Orange Theory, great for cardiovascular health. It does not, over time, help with the sustainability of weight loss because your body's just going to adapt to that. Also, studies have shown that when you increase cardio, the rest of the day your body burns calories less efficiently because it's always trying to find a homeostasis. So, you want to keep your cardio from being that intense unless it's just certain days of the week with that knowledge in mind. Your body's going to burn calories at those intense days. It is cardio. It's more cardio. It's more cardio, but it's steady state. If you're going joint type, and it also is more cost effective in groups. So my one-on-ones are about $60 for 30 minutes. But if you sign up before the new year, it's $55 for 30 minutes, one team for the hour. But the weightlifting classes, it's about $25 per session. I'm trying to get those lowered so that we can get more people in there, get them with the correct form for strength. But your joint classes are Monday and Wednesday, 7 to 8 p.m. And I do offer online in the mornings because I train in the mornings online. But does anyone have any more questions? So what I'm hearing is that cost for a group day. So I'm trying to get it lower, but it right now is $25 per session for group. And the cool thing I'm trying to do is when people graduate from that joint focused class, the joint nutrition focused group training, I want them to graduate out of it, you know, so like, okay, you got good healthy movement patterns, you know how to do this, you can either work out on your own or go to the lift club, which is Tuesday, Thursday, 7 to 8, but you get a little trophy, like you graduated, congrats.
Okay, so it's $25 for 30 minutes one-on-one, or $25.
25 is only for group training, for one-on-ones it's $60 for sessions, and then the hour is 110. But if you sign up before the new year, the cost is $55 per session. But anyway, anyone have any questions about their needs? If you want to get a personal look at your body and your movement, we can totally do that, and I'll do it for a complimentary session specialist. So just get my number, write it down, make sure you have it. If you want to set it up, I am available. You can text me. I'll do my best to answer. I get sessions back to back usually, but if anyone have any questions?
I'm just looking for the answer. Strength training to reduce pain requires 4 hours.
Yes.
The one that says passively reduces injuries that do not require.
Where is that?
The bottom, why surgery should be allowed to
Why surgery should be last resort. The last 40 years, research shows that healing joints that do not have structural damage requires movement and blood flow. Yeah, no, have fun. Yeah, you have my number, right? Anyway, the next workshop I'm doing is next Saturday, and it's on barbell. It's a barbell masterclass. So I don't know if that applies to all of you, but if you want to learn about the barbell.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, thank you guys, and I'm here to help. Like I love making people feel happier and healthier. So thank you guys for coming.
Did you finish, sorry, the rest of these?
So surgery fixes structure, movement fixes patterns, and I think I accidentally wrote patterns.
Yeah, I was kind of confused with that. Okay, so that is.
Yeah, I meant to finish that last.
And then where it says with reduction of,
Where is that?
about the surgery fixes, I was trying to get.
Oh, yeah.
Movement and blood flow with reduction of.
So it requires the reduction of, shoot, what was on this? Oh, with reduction of, it wasn't on here, but it's with reduction of inflammation.
Ascending and descending steps.
Yeah, yeah, that's the worst part. That increases pain by 70%, is what they just said.
Yeah, it's like there is a particular
I have to help.
exercise. Thank you. Okay, good one.
Yeah, no, that's the hardest thing. That's the hardest thing to use. It's not good. We can get there. And then for you, I'm sure we can get there, but it just would take a bit of time.
Well, I will say this, looking at your model there, I need to take some steps back, you know, from my strengthening, you know, all that stuff, but I do feel that my hips, additional, because the partnership crosses 2 joints, tight as it is.
So what we can do, I can give you a complimentary stretch and recovery session, and we can work on opening those up. And then what I do with clients and with your complimentary stretch session, I'll give you homework to work on. I'll show you some mobility drills. You can do. Just yeah, just ask me. I'm here to help. I'm really glad that you guys came.
Would you recommend, so I ruptured my ACL a year and a half ago, I had surgery, and they took my quadricep to use it as an ACL. Oh my gosh. But then I had to have another surgery like 6 months ago, was all scar tissue, but
Yeah.
would you recommend, I've been working out a lot, would you recommend doing the one focus group training first and then eventually get to it? I'm pretty,
Yeah, I would, but I would also say first, like, let's get an individualized look at you. So group training is really just like, I've already met you, you're getting, yeah. So the stretch and recovery session would be like, I know specifically where you're tight, and I've looked at your body, I've felt you, and we know exactly what your next steps are. So I always need a
Thank you so much first.
Hey, my pleasure.
is that, is the movement screening,
Oh, we can do that. No. So I have a complimentary stretch session.
Okay.
Yeah, just one
I'm at
for
the
gym,
gym.
and then we'll get you looked at, I'll get your body, I'll do a slight movement screening depending on what you're struggling with. A full movement screening is like 30 minutes long, but I'll give you a quick one for the area that
How's mom and dad?
do like a little bit of lower body stuff, and just check your upper body, and then we do stretch and recovery.
We had fun last night.
And then for group training, we do like specific movements for like, if someone's struggling, usually it's for joints, it's like the area. So someone for upper body will over here.
Of course, that's on my bucket list, so I know we got a lot of trips.
I know, I would obviously
But
prefer.
you know, the trip is very reasonable, number one.
Yeah, I'm trying my best to just give you your options.
Yeah.
It's not like I have to.
Yeah, I'm here to help, and like if you have any
Find
questions.
someone else.
Okay.
But,
I'll meet you.
so I got to figure out,
For the,
I know.
what is it called?
Stretch and recovery session. Yeah, just let me know when you're available. My hours are Monday through Friday. Usually 4 to 9 next week. I'm super booked.